There is a silent cemetery that we all carry within us, a place where the ghosts of our unrealized dreams wander. Look at it for a moment. There lies the book you started writing with so much enthusiasm. That musical instrument you bought, promising to practice every day, a brilliant business plan, scribbled on a napkin that never left the paper. A New Year's resolution to take better care of your health, that dissolved by February. This cemetery is not a place of bad dreams. On the contrary, it is a place of brilliant dreams, of genius ideas, of immense potential. So why did they die? They were not killed by a lack of talent, nor by a lack of passion. They were victims of a silent killer, the disease that afflicts the brightest and the most visionary: inconsistency. We live in a culture that idolizes the lightning, the thunder, the explosion of genius. We celebrate the sudden insight, the heroic act, the overnight success. But we forget the most powerful and creative force in the universe: the gentle, persistent rain that drop by drop penetrates the hardest earth and nourishes the seed until it becomes a forest. The title of our conversation today is a radical promise. Master this one trait, and your entire life will fall into place. It sounds too simple to be true, doesn't it? In a world that sells us complexity, that offers us 1,001 strategies and secrets, how could a single trait be the master key that opens all doors? Because this single trait, my friend, is the very essence of creation. It is the power of consistency. Napoleon Hill, in his meticulous analysis of the lives that shaped our world, made a discovery that contradicts everything we've been taught about success. He found that genius was not the determining factor. Passion, though important, came in waves. Talent was often surpassed. But consistency? Consistency was the common denominator. It was the invisible force that transformed ordinary men into titans. It was the daily discipline that turned fragile ideas into indestructible empires. Today, we'll not just talk about consistency as a dictionary word. We'll dive into the soul of this power. We'll understand why it is the force that makes everything fall into place. And, most importantly, we will unveil the practical method that Napoleon Hill observed, so that you can finally stop visiting the cemetery of your dreams and start cultivating the garden of your reality. To understand the power of consistency, we must first redefine it. Consistency is not about being a robot. It is not about relentless perfection or the absence of emotion. It is something much deeper and more human. First, consistency is the language of faith. Every small action you take, repeated day after day toward your goal, is a declaration to the universe. It is a vote. You are saying, not with words, but with your time and your energy, I believe in this future. I believe in myself. I believe that my efforts count. A grand prayer made once a year has less power than a small, sincere prayer made. Every day, your daily actions are your prayers in motion. They are the physical proof of your faith, and the universe responds to proof, not to hope. Second, consistency is the highest form of self-respect. We worry so much about not breaking the promises we make to others, yet we break the promises we make to ourselves all the time. I'll start tomorrow. I'll get back to it next week. Every broken promise to yourself is a small fracture in your self-confidence. But every time you show up, even when you don't want to, every time you keep the small promise you made to yourself the night before, you're depositing coins in the bank of your self-esteem. You are teaching yourself on a subconscious level that you are someone who can be trusted. When you trust yourself, the world begins to trust you. And third, consistency is the visible engine of the compound effect, the eighth wonder of the world. It is the force that turns the trivial into the tremendous. Water dripping on the same spot for long enough can drill through the most solid rock. A giant sequoia tree, which touches the heavens, begins as a tiny seed, but grows a little, consistently, every day. The initial progress of consistency is almost always invisible. It is frustrating, feels like nothing is happening. And this is where most people quit, not knowing they were just a few steps away from an exponential breakthrough. Consistency is the silent, invisible work that happens at the root. Long before the flower blossoms for the world to see now, the big question, why does mastering this one trait make everything fall into place? Because consistency creates a domino effect, a cascade of alignment that reverberates through all areas of your life. The first domino to fall is trust. As we've said, trust in yourself. When you become a consistent person, your identity shifts. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries and start seeing yourself as someone who does. This internal certainty is what Napoleon Hill called self-confidence, one of his 13 principles. It is a magnetic state of mind. People are drawn to those who are certain. Opportunities flow to those who demonstrate through their actions that they are reliable and committed. Your financial life starts to fall into place because you become consistent with your budget and your investments. Your relationships fall into place because you become consistent in your love and your attention. Your health falls into place because you become consistent with your habits. It all begins with the trust born from being consistent with yourself. The second domino is clarity. Many people wait to have clarity before they can act. The truth is the opposite. Consistent action generates clarity. You don't discover your path by standing still and thinking about it. You discover it by putting one foot in front of the other every day. Each consistent step gives you immediate feedback. You learn what works and what doesn't. You refine your approach. You discover new passions and talents you didn't know you had. The path is not revealed on a map before the journey. The path is created under your feet as you walk consistently. Your calling is revealed in your doing. Your life begins to fall into place because you stop waiting for a sign and you become the sign. It's through your constant motion. The third and most magical domino is mental alignment. Your brain is a pattern learning machine. When you are inconsistent, you teach your brain the pattern of chaos, doubt, and starting over. Your mind is always in a state of emergency, spending enormous energy to begin again. But when you are consistent, you create a new neural pattern. Teach your brain, this is what we do now, every day. The resistance diminishes. The action that once required heroic willpower now becomes automatic, a habit. This is what Hill meant by the power of autosuggestion in practice. Your consistent daily actions are the most powerful affirmations. They program your subconscious for success. Your mind stops fighting against you and starts working for you on autopilot. Life falls into place because your mind, the projector of your reality, is finally aligned and projecting an image of order, discipline, and progress. So how do we master this trait that seems so elusive? How do we become this person? The Hill method is not based on fleeting motivation, but on a deliberate structure. The first and most crucial step, you must anchor your consistency in a burning desire. No one can be consistent at something they only kind of like. Willpower is a finite resource. Desire, when it is a fire burning in your soul, is an infinite source of energy. Why do you want this? What is your definite chief aim? Your consistency must serve a mission greater than the discomfort of the moment. When your why is powerful enough, the how becomes bearable. Before you try to be consistent in an action, be consistent in connecting with your desire. Remind yourself every day why you started. The second step, create a system, not just goals. Goals are about the final outcome. Systems are about the daily process. A goal is to lose 20 pounds. So a system is to walk for 30 minutes every morning and eat no sugar after 6 p.m. A goal is to write a book. A system is to write 300 words every day at 7 a.m., no exceptions. Systems remove the need for decision-making and the reliance on motivation. You don't ask yourself, do I feel like writing today? The question doesn't exist. System says that at 7 a.m. you write. That's it. The system is the track that makes the movement of the consistency train almost effortless. This is what Hill called organized planning. And the third step, the secret weapon, use a mastermind for accountability. The journey of consistency can be lonely. It's easy to break a promise when no one is watching. This is where Hill's master mind principle becomes invaluable. Find one or two people who are also committed to their own goals. Share your system with them. Make a pact to contact each other daily or weekly with a simple message. I did it, or I didn't do it. The simple act of knowing that someone will ask, that you will have to verbalize your commitment or your failure, multiplies your willpower tenfold. It is the external support that solidifies your internal resolve. The soul of consistency is not in the grandeur of the outcome, but in the sacred beauty of the practice. It is in falling in love with the process of becoming. It is the self-respect shown in the small daily action. It is the faith in the future expressed in your present effort. It is the silent force that, day after day, without fanfare, builds a life of meaning, of power, and of peace. A life where, almost as if by magic, everything finally begins to fall into place. If you have felt in your soul the call to become this person, to trade the frustration of inconsistency for the serenity of consistent power, then consider this moment your turning point. Make a commitment. Like this video as a symbol of your decision to honor the promises you make to yourself. Subscribe to Temple of the Mind to have a constant source of strength on your journey. And as your first act of consistency, comment below. What is the one small action you commit to doing consistently, starting tomorrow, to build the life you desire? Your masterpiece is not the final destination. It is the consistent person you become along the way. Start building today.